when you hear external people, some of the external people interfering in our affairs, ignore them.
Ignoring foreigners might be easier said than done, at least for an African country that still relies heavily on support from Western countries in aid. Uganda has been amongst the world's top aid recipients for several decades. Between 2003 and 2012, Uganda received more than 16 billion US dollars, approximately 58.5 trillion shillings, in official development assistance, ODA, ranking it as the 13th largest recipient worldwide then. But what does it mean when a country like Uganda does not receive economic aid from the foreigners? Analysts who have been following Uganda's growth trends say it's a double-edged sword.
Africa is not poor, but impoverished by their leaders, but also by foreign agents. Ideally, you do not need foreign aid and you can work phasing that out, but that would be if you started now with seriousness up to the next 10 years.
According to President Museveni, his emphasis in the new term of office will be to transform Uganda to a middle-class country. The vision, as set out, seeks to achieve a per capita income of 9,500 US dollars, approximately 35 million shillings, and improving the well-being of all Ugandans commensurate to upper middle income standards by 2040, as stated in Uganda's Vision 2040. The strategy in the plan is to achieve this by strengthening Uganda's competitiveness to sustainable wealth creation, employment and inclusive growth.
I've already instructed the government to prepare a budget to make sure that in each year we tackle 3 million families, to get them from working only for the stomach to working for the stomach and the pocket.
Uganda has been one of those countries which have metamorphosed very fast from relying on budget support to now getting loans to fund most of its development agenda. And those loans are being paid, of course, back by the taxpayer. So that's why you think you find the president and other leaders in Africa now, they speak with more confidence than before.
But how much of what he has analyzed have we implemented on ground? How much of lesser of pharmaceuticals have we substituted with our own production of cassava pharmaceutical-related products? How much of beef investment and many other areas have we been able to invest in since?
Uganda has slowly moved away from using grants to loans for financing development projects. The imposition of sanctions on Uganda by the European Union may have devastating impacts on government operations, since the EU is Uganda's biggest development partner and gives more than 500 billion shillings in aid annually. Individual EU countries also give substantial funding to Uganda. Gobi says the direct support from the foreigners rightly has an impact on the receiving nations.
The kind of position they gave themselves, that they should be the ones to help others to come up, and in that instance of helping others, they end up actually messing them up more. Because when you give aid to countries like Uganda, they stop being accountable to their own populations.
But for how long and how much can we borrow as a country?
We are now struggling with the spending about 20% of our tax revenue on paying the interest on that debt we have contracted. And yet most of this debt has gone into infrastructure. Infrastructure does not return immediately the money you have put in. So government now finds itself having been squeezed in finding, where to tax. That's why you see now they are beginning to move into areas, thinking into areas which are even ridiculous, like taxing withdrawals of money.
Julius Kapwepwe counsels that Uganda and other developing countries should push for trade justice instead of mere aid.
When you look at the negative bills in the case of Uganda, continually, through what we called honest accounts, and we saw that for every US dollar that comes into African soil, it takes away other $4 in terms of profit. If Africans were serious and we are capturing that profit to ourselves, definitely we'll do away with foreign aid. We would go for trade justice and partnership.
Walter Mwesije, NTV.